Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, ego, Slendy, hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. You should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 626 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here on August 18th, 2024. Padres, they dropped their first series since before the All-Star break. I believe it was against the Braves, was that last series that they dropped. They've been playing really good baseball, 8 of their last 9 series that they have won. Of course, they lose this series to the Colorado Rockies. It just seems like this Rockies team, I don't say this Rockies team because it seems like it changes every year because it's the Rockies, but just the Rockies organization has been something that has caused the Padres some issues, especially in Colorado. But I don't think the Padres are the only team that would say that. You know, Denver, it's an interesting place to be playing baseball games. And I obviously am not a Rockies fan, but if I would to try to put myself in those Rocky fans' shoes, obviously being a Rockies fan would be pretty hard because the team doesn't try its best to win. But just the atmosphere, just being in Colorado and having to play your games at Coors Field day in and day out, have your 80 home games, 81 home games at Coors Field. That's got to be pretty hard. That's got to be pretty taxing. And I mean, the Padres just go in for a few games, and we saw at times how taxing it was. And especially today, with running back and forth, how guys just were gassed is what it seemed like. I mean, the weather today, it was what, 94 degrees. There was humidity. So that's got to be tough for those guys. But, you know, they get paid a lot of money. I don't think there's a lot of people feeling sorry for them. But, you know, Padres, they just couldn't pull out this game today in the rubber match. They lose 3-2. And it kind of came down to who made more mistakes, Padres or the Rockies. And the Padres made that mistake. They're in, what was that, the 6th inning? So bottom 3, Shunk has that double. And by the way, that was a long at bat. And that took a lot of pitches out of Joe today, and he would have been able to go longer, should have went longer if that at bat would have been shorter there. So he only goes, 4 1/3 today, but I thought he pitched well. I'll get to him more in a second. But there's the double there, made it 1-0 Colorado. David Peralta then, he doubles in Jackson Merrill, ties it up. Props to Jackson Merrill, by the way, the little things, beating out that double play ball, and he ends up scoring. If he didn't beat that out, didn't run down the line, then the Padres would not have gotten that run because the inning would have ended on that double play ground ball there. But it didn't. So props to him. Props to David Peralta for coming through there. But David Peralta, after Stallings had the RBI single, on that RBI single, David Peralta, he botches that ball, that single that's hit at him, and Toglia ends up getting to third base, and then a ground out is what scores the runner there, and that ended up giving the Rockies the lead, made it 3-1, and that ended up being the difference in the game because Manny had that homer later in the game, which put him, by the way, ahead of Phil Nevin on the Padres' all-time home runs list. But obviously it wasn't enough, solo home run, and the Padres lose by 1. So we've seen this many times this year where it's gone in the Padres' favor, where they do the little things correct, they don't make the errors, and they capitalize. They're playing a team that maybe isn't the best defensively, or that day, that series, they're not the best defensively. We saw it with the Pittsburgh Pirates with O'Neal Cruz, and he didn't have a good defensive series. Take advantage of those little things. It adds up. You know, the whole Mike Schultz saying of don't give them anything and take everything, something like that. And today, the Padres did take some things from the Rockies, but the Rockies took advantage of the real one big mistake was the Peralta misplay there on the RBI single to right field. And yeah, you know, the environment, how hot it was out there, obviously wasn't there, but you could just tell watching that game. And when you're Joe Musgrove, and obviously, you know, he can hold his breath for 4+ minutes, which I don't think any of us can really do, but he's impressive with the work that he puts in. and how much he wants it, right? But when you have a long at bat like that, the odds probably increase. I don't, haven't looked at the math on this, but like I'm curious. I'd be curious to see what the math is on starting pitchers in baseball when they have a, let's say, 10 plus pitch at bat or an 8 plus pitch at bat, whatever number you want to put out there. Do they miss their spots more often? Do they leave pitches over the middle of the plate more often? What is the result of that at bat? How many times does the batter make contact? Does it end in a strikeout, or is that really the batter's advantage as that at bat gets deeper? And I would think it's the batter's advantage because they may not be swinging at every pitch. They may just be swinging not 100%, just trying to foul it off, while the pitcher is trying 100% every time to try to get that guy out. So it taxed Musgrove, obviously, and results wise, like, yeah, I was definitely fine with the Musgrove outing. The only thing that sucked was that he wasn't able to get through 5 innings. He goes 4 1/3, but he gave up only 1 earned run, and he struck out 6 guys. So that's more strikeouts that he had today than hits and walks combined. 2 walks, 3 hits allowed. The velocity was there. He was going to the curveball a lot. There were some at bats where, especially later, I think it was in that 5th inning, where you could tell the command wasn't there. Like fastballs, multiple fastballs in a row were inside, and then a curveball way outside. But again, that's going to happen when you have some long at bats. You're still let's remember this, Musgrove, he's still building up 73 pitches today. It's not like he's at the 100 pitch number right now. And so you're definitely going to take that outing, I would think, especially when you have Brian Hoeing going into the game. And I believe going into this outing, he had not allowed a run as a San Diego Padre yet. And he gives up an earned run, 2 hits, couple of walks, was his worst outing, obviously, as a Padre, just didn't have it. But Matsui comes in, Marahone comes in, doesn't give up any earned runs. So props to them. But the offense, yeah, it's going to be frustrating, obviously. You go 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. I should say frustrating for the fans and the players, but just frustrating that they're not able to beat the Rockies in this series finale to get this series win, to get their 9th consecutive series win, which would have been a franchise record. It was already a franchise record, I believe, because they hadn't won 8 in a row. So this obviously would have been another record. And it's just, we look at the record, the Rockies 46-79. And sure, they have other big leaguers on their team, but they don't have the talent that the Padres do. They didn't have Joe starting today. They don't have as good of a bullpen as the Padres do. They don't have as good of a lineup as the Padres do. And so when the Rockies are able to win games against the Padres, whether it's at Petco, I believe the Padres won their last series, though, against the Rockies at Petco. Whether it's there, whether it's at Coors Field, it's just frustrating because it's the Rockies, It's nothing like personal against the players. They're trying their best on the Rockies. It's nothing against Bud Black. He can only manage what he has. But it's like, they traded away Nolan Arenado. They have Ryan McMahon, but with how they were going, shouldn't they have probably dealt him? And they love Ryan McMahon, I guess, but like they're just not going anywhere. Dick Montfort is their owner. And we don't have to go over some of his past comments that he's made, and I believe he was critical of Peter and his spending and questioning the roster. Remember, he ended up being right, which sucks. Going into last year, I think he was questioning like, oh, the Padres, they have holes on that roster. And it's like, yeah, let's go around and compare the Padres roster and the Rockies roster on paper, and let's see how many holes are on each roster. I guarantee you that there were more holes on paper on the Rockies roster than the Padres. So yeah, keep yapping and not totally 100% caring about giving a winning product to your fan base. Because if you did, you would be making different moves than what you are right now. But again, just getting back to, just you're playing the Rockies, so it just sucks losing a series against them. It's not like you're playing the Braves or the Phillies or the Orioles. Teams, by the way, that they won series against earlier this year, just the quality of opponent. You just want to take advantage of that. But if we're going to spin this positive, which I am happy to do because the Padres have been playing good baseball, even with this series loss. I mean, they're 15 games over 500. They're in a playoff spot. So let's remember that. In that 15 game stretch that I've been talking about, I talked about going in to that 15 game stretch, that started, I believe, on August 3rd, August 2nd or August 3rd. I think it was August 3rd, August 2nd, maybe. They had 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the Marlins, 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the Rockies. 15 games against bad teams. And I said, yeah, that's a huge opportunity to get further away from 500, and they did that. This team went 11-4. They gained 7 games above 500 in that 15-game stretch. And that's not something that happened earlier in the year when they got swept by the Angels. It's not something that happened, obviously, last season when they were losing series against the Pirates and the Royals at home. It just felt like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. And this year, it's step on the gas. It's another big league team. You got to respect them. Don't look at what's coming ahead. This game is the most important game of the season. Go win this game. And that's how the Padres, I think, attack these 15 games. So I think that's encouraging. That's great. And, Padres, they missed the postseason by a couple of games last year, even with that great run that they went on at the end in September last year. And a lot of it you could point to was because they didn't win those games that they should have on paper. And I get it. Things happen in baseball, but this year it's different. They're winning those games that they should win, or at least a majority of them. Especially again in this last 15 game stretch, going in 11-4. Sure, we can be disappointed about this Rocky series loss, but let's look back, zoom out, and look at the 15 game stretch. And I'm going to be very encouraged by that. I'm going to like that. I will take 11-4 in a 15 game stretch any day of the week. I'll take 19 of 22 like they were in a recent stretch. I will take that. So that's my thoughts there. Just overall on this last game and where this Padres team sits right now. Good news is the D-backs, they did lose today. So it's not like the D-backs, got to gain anything on the Padres today. Padres had offers from Arraez and Profar. Arraez did hit one pretty hard today, so I don't want to make it seem like he sucked. But 0 for 9 combined from those two guys. Manny had a homer, but it was a solo homer. I'm not trying to bash Manny. I'm just, he can't control it when he homers like that. Who's on base? But just not enough offensive production today. There was a lot of guys that got hits. I mean, you look at the box score: Crony, Manny, Bogey, Merrill, Peralta, Kim, Higgy, all had hits today, at least one. But went 0 for with runners in scoring position. Rockies had 9, went 1 for 9, so still not good, but 9 opportunities. The Padres, 4, left 9 guys on base. So less opportunities with runners in scoring position than the Rockies, but they left more guys on base. So that was a problem. Obviously, the Peralta error, that was an issue. So yeah, kind of just didn't really deserve to win this game today. The Ha-Seong Kim injury, I did want to hit on that, obviously, because that is huge news. Well, it's huge news right now, not knowing how long he's going to be out. It may not end up being huge news. I'm looking at an update from Jeff Sanders, the latest there. Kim's right arm is in a sling. He'll get imaging in San Diego. Padres said this was a jammed shoulder. He's sore, according to Mike Schilt. They'll have a better feel, obviously, in the future. There's not really anything Mike Schilt can totally tell the media, tell the fan base right after the game when he doesn't have a whole lot of information. But yeah, that's what we've got. And I posted the video on social media, so you can go see that if you missed it. But he dove back earlier in the game, dove back into first base, and immediately got up, was holding that left shoulder. And usually Kim, when he falls, it looks like he's in pain, but then he gets up and it's fine. Here you could immediately tell it was an issue because he was walking towards, I think, the Rockies dugout. Then he turns and goes right to the Padres dugout, slams his helmet down as he's going down the steps. Like, you could tell there was an issue there. And I initially thought, like, ooh, this reminds me of Tatis, a shoulder subluxation. And if that's the case, that's an issue. For anyone that's saying that, oh, maybe this is a blessing in disguise because Kim's not doing anything, so maybe they can get someone better in there. And I'm like, okay, but for me as a human being, like I'm not going to think that way when I'm seeing a Padre player go off the field like that. Obviously, hoping all is well with Kim. I do get those people's point if they want to bring that up, but if Ha-Seong Kim is out for a period of time, don't know. Let's say it's weeks. I mean, if his arm's in a sling, I mean that doesn't sound too great. Any significant period of time here, which it is, I mean, really any time is significant because they're in a playoff race here, then do you have Wade play short every day? Do you have Bogarts move over to shortstop? And then you have Cronenworth at second, and you have Solano or Arraez at first base? Is that what the Padres do? And then the other DHs? It takes a hit at your depth, obviously. And what the Padres ideally want to do, they probably don't want to play Arraez in the field every day, or Solano, one of them. Although Solano did look good the other day at third base, we know Manny's playing third base pretty much every day. It's not like they're going to have Manny go play first base so Solano can play third. Solano would be at first. And then matchups wise, Solano's actually hitting pretty well against both sides, left and right. So that's the good news. But remember, Luis Arraez, he's dealing with, I think, the thumb issue, right? One of his fingers. That's an issue. So it's not like everybody is healthy. There's probably some guys that are banged up that we don't really know about. So it's a hit at the depth. Infield wise, I think they could bring up someone like Eggy Rosario. But Ha-Seong Kim, while I don't think, just the eye test, I don't think he's been as good defensively at shortstop as he was last year. And I don't think that he's not. He's not having the year that we wanted him to have offensively. He's still pretty much an everyday player. And again, it's a hit at the depth, and some guys may have to play positions that they're not used to playing every day now. So we'll see what happens. But so far this season, Ha-Seong Kim, he's hitting .233, has a 700 on base percentage. And that obviously is not what was happening last year. Last year, he hit .260, and his on base percentage was .351, which is higher than .330. His OPS was .749, which is higher than .700. So, yeah, it's not the year that we wanted him to have, but there's still value in Ha-Seong Kim. I believe that. I truly do believe that there is value. You still want Ha-Seong Kim active and available. He can play you multiple positions. He can give a DH day to someone else, and you can have him go play another position. Now, to get to Tyler Wade, he's not the worst option. It's someone that can give you an at-bat. He has speed. He's not someone that jumps off the page as bad defensively. I'm not looking at the numbers, but just eye test, it doesn't seem like he's terrible defensively. So from what I've seen from Tyler Wade, I wasn't the biggest fan, let's say in spring training. And I'm not so sure he's the everyday player, but it's not the worst option to have. It's a lefty. Again, the speed thing I think is appealing. But I wonder, would they have Wade be an everyday guy? Or would they rather have him be a bench guy, speed, that guy sort of thing? And you move Bogarts to short, you move Crony to second, who's good defensively at second base, by the way. And you have Solano or Arraez at first base. That's the question here. And remember, no Tatis. We don't know when he's going to come back. So Peralta's playing almost every day there in right field. So it's not like they're going to have him DH all the time. If they don't want Arraez in the lineup one day, or they don't want Solano in the lineup one day, and they have one of those guys go play first base. So we'll see. Hoping for the best, obviously. But the latest that I see, at least at 3:41 Pacific time here, is that Kim, he is in a sling. Padres said jammed shoulder. He'll get imaging when they're back in San Diego. So maybe he'll get that imaging tomorrow because they're obviously back playing the Twins, starting that series tomorrow. So that's the update that I have there on Ha-Seong Kim. But yeah, it sucks seeing him go down. And you never want someone in pain like that How many starts does he have this year? It's not going to tell me. I'll look up on Baseball Reference. Hold on one second. So it still is only showing me games. He has 121 games this year, and I assume most of those are starts. And the Padres this year, by the way, today was their 125th game. So he plays pretty much every day. And I'm going to trust Mike Schilt and those, the Padres on the value that Kim provides. I'm going to trust them, their eyes, their judgment more than Padres fans that think that he shouldn't be playing, that he doesn't provide value. Even though it's been disappointing his year, I think he'd probably say that. I still want him active, obviously. I still want him to be able to play. All right, game 2 of this series, Padres won that one 8-3. Their 70th win on the year. Crony RBI single made it 1-0 in the top of the second. Then Campy had a ground out, made it 2-0. That scored Crony. Top of the fourth, even Bryce Johnson got in the action last night. It was good to see the offense score a bunch of runs. That made it 3-0. His RBI single scored Peralta. Profar RBI single got thrown out at second, though. Made it 4-0. The base running was a little bit iffy there last night. Crony RBI ground out, 5-0. Bryce Johnson RBI ground out, 6-0. Bogey single, 7-0. And then Campy had a homer, made it 8-3. Obviously, Rockies had a few runs there in between. But yeah, I mean, overall, like the Padres, they gave what the Rockies gave them. It was not a lot of RBIs that were hits. There were some, obviously, but it was a lot of, move around. You got a runner in scoring position. You got a runner on third. All right, don't try to do too much. You've got less than 2 outs. A ground out can still do the job. And again, like I talked about earlier, that's what this Padres team has done way better than what they did last year. They're winning 1-run games. They're winning in extra innings. They're doing the little things. They're not quitting in games. It feels like they have a lot of guys that are bought in on doing whatever it takes to win that day. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about 2 weeks down the road. Win today's game. Today is what matters. So, a game like yesterday, it's great. Dylan Cease lost a little bit of command, was walking 5 walks, same amount of walks as he had strikeouts. Obviously, that's not what you want. Gave up a homer, but he still almost got to 6 innings. And then the bullpen did its job for sure. Morahone, Adam, Scott, Estrada, didn't have to use Suarez. Yeah, you lost this series, but I guess one of the positives is that Suarez is going to be well rested because he didn't pitch at all in this series, did he? Yeah, didn't pitch at all in this series. And we know, obviously, going into this series that Suarez had been used a lot recently. Same thing with Tanner Scott. And so Tanner Scott got some days off. He didn't pitch today, and he didn't pitch in the first game of this series. Obviously, you want to win games rather than lose, but I'm trying to look at some bright spots here. But yeah, I mean, overall, Jason Adam, I just want to highlight some of the relievers here. Overall with the Padres, he's been pitching well. So far, just bringing up his total numbers here, hasn't allowed an earned run, 8 innings of work from him. Opponents are hitting 172. His whip is under 1. So great job out of him. That trade's already working out and providing an impact for the Padres this year. And Adrian Morahone, has he been talked about enough? I don't know. Because it feels like he's talked about when he gets hurt, when he's not able to be out there for the Padres, the international money that they spent on this guy. And he's been in this Padres organization for a long time. And now he's been healthy. Has a sub-3 ERA. He's relied upon as one of the high-leverage guys. He was one of the big 3. It was him, Estrada, and Suarez before Tanner Scott and Jason Adam came before the deadline. So I just want to give love there to Adrian Morahone. One of the few lefties in this bullpen. Not a lot of lefties in this Padres bullpen. Obviously, they parted with Tim Hill in the offseason. So props to Adrian Morahone. Tanner Scott, there's been some up and downs, but he's provided an impact for sure already. We know what Robert Suarez has done. And Jeremiah Estrada, he's had his ups and downs. He's been really good at times, and then he had to battle with the virus that he had, but came back from that, had some more struggles, but has bounced back a little bit from that. So he's someone that definitely wants to win. We've seen that at moments this year about what he, just willing. I go back to these guys just being team players. This bullpen, it's a bunch of team guys, not caring about the role, not caring about having to only pitch ninth inning, 1 inning. That's it. No more than 1 inning. Robert Suarez is like, or maybe it was Tanner Scott, but one of them, like, my job is to pitch. And the other guy, too, has that same mentality. My job is to pitch. I don't care if it's 4+ outs. I don't care what inning it is in. My job is to pitch, help this team win baseball games. And so props to, I love a lot of these guys in this bullpen. It's a deep bullpen. It's a group of guys that I have confidence in. And yeah, they lost 2 out of 3, but the bullpen, if you look at these games, no earned runs allowed in the first game from the bullpen, Matsui and Reynolds. No earned runs allowed in the second game, Morahone, Adams, Scott, and Estrada. And then in the third game, Hoeing gave up 1 earned run, but the last 2, Matsui and Morahone, didn't give up any runs. So 1 earned run from this bullpen this entire series in Denver. So I think that's pretty impressive. I know it's not, the Phillies lineup or anything that they're facing, but it's Denver. We've seen some talented arms from the Padres struggle sometimes in Denver. So good job out of the pen for the most part in this series and for the most part this season. I feel like, and I've said this before, sometimes the bad outings get highlighted and remembered more by fans than the big stretch of good outings, because maybe it's not closing out a game and it's not the big Robert Suarez entrance that they get, so maybe you don't remember it. But for the most part, a lot of these guys in this bullpen have pitched really well this season. Game 1 of this series, Padres lost 7-3. Couldn't really get a whole lot going. 0 with runners in scoring position, left 10 guys on base, double the amount of the Rockies guys that they left on base in this game. Put that together, and that is not going to win many baseball games, if any. Matt Waldron, the one positive is that he almost got to 6 innings, 5 2/3, but he gave up 7 earned runs. Didn't walk very many, 1 walk, 6 punch outs, but he gave up a couple of homers, balls that were right in those guys' happy zones. And in Colorado, those balls are going to get crushed. Charlie Blackmon got him. Brennan Rodgers got him. I believe he had a grand slam earlier this year as well against the Padres. So he likes hitting at Coors Field against the Padres. Ryan McMahon, RBI single early in this game for them. And yeah, Ha-Seong Kim homered, but just not enough from this Padres offense. And there was some production from the top of the order. Arraez and Profar combined for 3 hits in this game, but then Manny and Crony combined to go for 7. And Jake walked 3 times. So it's not like he was given a lot of opportunities in that game to provide a big impact. Bogarts, Merrill, and Peralta all had hits. Kim, obviously, with that homer. But just that was really the offense. It was Bogarts had an RBI, Kim had 2 RBIs, and that was that. So just not cashing in, really, on those opportunities with runners in scoring position, and the Rockies did. They went 3 for 10. Not great, but that's still better than 0 for, obviously. So there you go. Padres, they lose this series, and now they're going to be back home to face off against the Minnesota Twins, who got off to a good start on the season, but they've had Carlos Correa out. They've had Royce Lewis out at points this year. They've had Byron Buxton out at points this year. I kind of compare it to Tatis and Manny. There hasn't been a ton of time, if you look back at their career since 2019 when Tatis debuted, where both of them have played together in lineups. And that's how it is kind of with the Minnesota Twins, with Buxton, with Royce Lewis, and who am I blanking on? Correa. With those 3 guys, how many games have they played together healthy? Not very many. So hopefully the Padres can capitalize on that. I don't believe all three are going to be healthy for this series, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6:40, Michael King will be on the mound for the Padres against Zebby Matthews. Don't know anything about him, but he is 24, 3.60 ERA. Tuesday night, same time, 6:40, Martin Perez against Bailey Ober. They're missing Pablo Lopez in this series. Pablo Lopez, if I remember correctly, it's not like he has pitched like Pablo Lopez of last year, the last couple of years. Wednesday, not a 110 start, but 3:40. It'll be Matt Waldron on the mound against Simon, I think, right? Simeone. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Woods Richardson. I believe they got him in the Jose Barrios trade. 3.77 ERA, over 100 innings, almost 100 strikeouts. His whip is 1.17. So those are the matchups. The Twins, they're 70 and 54. So they're a pretty close team in terms of record with the Padres. Padres, they have some guys that are out, obviously. Tatis being the leading name, him and Darvish. And we'll see what happens with Ha-Seong Kim. I think that's going to be the big question going into this series is, okay, if Kim is out, which right now I'm assuming he's going to be out, what's that going to look like? Is it going to be weighted short every game, or are they going to have Bogart shift over? What's that going to look like? And then after the Twins, they've got the Mets. So that's that's the next homestand coming up. Mets, obviously, they're kind of in it. I think that's being nice. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're 64 and 60 right now. They were closer. They were playing better baseball, and they're 4 and 6 in their last 10. So they're in it. They're 2 games back of a wild card spot. But I don't think they're going to be a postseason team. You know, the Pirates at one point, they were in it as well, and they've really fell back. And the Padres were playing the Pirates, by the way, when the Pirates were losing 9, 10 games in a row. The Mets, they're starting to play sort of that way. And it feels like Mets fans are frustrated right now with how this team is playing. So hopefully the Mets keep losing and the Padres can take advantage of a team not playing at the level that they were when they went on a run earlier this season. But the Mets are actually closer than I thought they were in this wild card race. I thought they were more like 4 games back, but that's the Giants. Giants and Cardinals. Giants are 4 games back. Cardinals are 5 games back. Anything else I wanted to bring up here? Oh, yeah. So just Players Weekend. This weekend was Players Weekend, and there were themes on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on like what each day was. I looked this up earlier, so hold on one second. Here it is. Theme days. So Fun Friday is what I guess they labeled it. A time to show off the players' personalities, friendships, and off-field interests. Causes Saturday. The focus this day will be on players' favorite charity and community efforts. And then today, I guess, was Appreciation Sunday. Players will celebrate the people who helped them in their journey to the big leagues. And so that's great and all. But, you know, the bats are fine, showing off the personality. But what I didn't really understand was the hats, the number on the hats. And I guess it was cartoon hat numbers. I'm sorry. MLB, that looks stupid. That looks so bad. Joe Musgrove, I mean, you're having different size numbers on the hat. So they had, for anyone that missed it, it was the player's number on the hat, on the right side of the hat, I believe. Some of them, one was one color and the other number was another color. If it was 2 numbers on the jersey number, or not 2 numbers. 24 is one number, but like, you get what I'm saying, 2 digits. Or if it was 1, like Mike Schilt today, his number 8 was the color red. Joe Musgrove today, I believe both of his number 44, his digits were the same color, but it was different size. There was Ruben Niebla. I saw him in the dugout. He had, I think, one was red and one was green. there was different fonts that they could use. I don't know if the players themselves picked that out or what, but it just didn't look good. It was weird. Um, I wasn't the biggest fan of the whole white black jerseys that they wore years ago. Um, so I like that it was just the regular uniforms. But to me, I ask, like, is there the need for the players' weekend? If there is, okay. But like, I feel like the players already express themselves the whole season, like with Fernando's cleats, Manny's cleats, Profar's cleats, in their cleats, in um, sometimes the socks, in the arm sleeves. I feel like they express themselves, the chains they wear, they express themselves anyway. So I feel like maybe the players' weekend is more forced than it needs to be, if that makes sense. But that's kind of the thoughts. I was just watching it today, like, why? What was the point of making those hats like that? It just looks stupid to me. But maybe that's like get off my lawn type thing. But I don't know. It just what is that going to sell? That's people are going to buy those hats. Maybe you just have a different taste than I do. I guess I don't know. All right, quick break, and then I will get to the chat. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, a reminder of some of the other great partners of the show. Check out Breaking Tea, Padres, and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. Click that link in the description for them. They've got the Merrill Madness shirt out. They've got a bunch of other Padres shirts. I'm actually wearing one right now. The Stick It To 'em from that Mets Padres wildcard series with Joe on it because it was Joe Day, so had to wear that. But there's Profar, Manny. They've got a bunch of Padres shirts out there. Underdog Fantasy. Click that link in the description. Code Talking Friars. You will get a 50% deposit match up to $250. You can claim a special pick. There's all the time special picks as well, like that will get you an easy win, or at least part of your win, because you got to have multiple picks for the pick'ems. But for example, there was an Angel Reese special, half a point higher on that, you're guaranteed. There was Caitlin Clark earlier this year. There's, I think there was like easy strikeout totals. There's been that. And obviously a bunch of other sports as well. There's Padres every day when they play that you can do. So feel free to use that to your advantage. Same code for SeatGeek, by the way. Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you use that code. Trying to help you out there. Please use that to your advantage. If you want to join the show, reminder, click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. And speaking of the chat, let's get to that right now. Dave says the curse of Buddy Black. Yeah. I mean, it's one of 30. To talk about Bud Black for a second, it's one of 30 jobs in Major League Baseball, but I feel like Bud Black would be tired of the Rockies by now. To have to manage that team, and I'm sure the guys are great, like being around the guys and all that, but like Bud Black, he's a veteran manager. I feel like at some point he's going to want to go manage a contending team, not manage the Colorado Rockies. Maybe he's happy there, but I don't know. It just feels like to me like Bud Black deserves better. Michelle says, crazy thing is, I don't think Buddy Black did anything this game. Rockies are just the thorn in our side, SMH. Yeah. There's nothing that I really point to with Bud Black in what he did. To me, it was who made more mistakes. Padres. Big P says, frustrated that Peralta gave them 2 runs with the missed fly ball and the bobble. Yep. It's frustrating for sure. But it's not like the offense did a ton. Like, if that error didn't happen, it would have been what, a 2-2 game on the Manny homer. Okay, Padres could have maybe went and won that game, but it's not like, my point is that it's not like they went and scored 5 runs or 8 runs like they did the night before. You know, Gave up 7 runs in game 1, and then today scored 2 runs. That's hard to win those games at Coors Field. Devin says need to play better against the Rockies. Yes. You'd like to win those season series against the Rockies. They can't, obviously. I mean, today was their final matchup. They're done. They lost the season series to them. But we also got to remember it's one team. The Rockies are one team that they play. And I know it's a divisional opponent, so they play those guys more than the Reds, for example. But if they take advantage of the bad other teams, they win the games, they win the season series against the Rockies, or excuse me, against the Marlins, against the Pirates, the bad teams, the White Sox, when they get to face them, the bad teams in baseball, that will add up and they will get further above 500. And, the Padres, they're proving that they don't have to play better against the Rockies if they take advantage of those other opponents. And they beat some good teams, right? They show that they're a good team, then they can make the postseason without beating the Rockies. But you not beating the Rockies makes it harder. It puts more pressure on you to win, obviously, the games against some of the harder teams and really take advantage, like go 11-4 in a 15-game stretch like they just did against bad teams. Not go 8-7, 9-6, 11-4. You got to do that. So I get your point, but they don't have to. They don't need to, if we're being factual about it. Let's see. Do It Done It channel says should have left Musgrove in. Well, he's not built up. So I think the goal was to go like 75, 80 pitches today, and that's what happened. Musgrove's pitch count today was 73 pitches. So it was around that 75 pitch mark. So he's still building up. Remember, he had that long at bat that resulted in that RBI earlier in the game. For some reason, I was thinking today when Musgrove was starting, maybe it's because he was on the IL at this point in time, but weren't there series where Musgrove was not traveling with the team to Colorado because I don't know if it like increased pressure on one of the spots where he was hurt or something, or maybe he was starting the series back home in San Diego, so they just didn't want him to go up to the elevation, so they just kept him in San Diego. I know he was starting today, obviously, so that couldn't happen. But I did think about well, maybe would they? I'm talking about going into the Colorado series before Musgrove I knew was starting. Maybe they hold him back till Monday. But I don't remember the exact details of why he was left back in past years. Maybe some of you remember that Musgrove didn't travel with the team to Colorado in past series. I was just wondering if that was a health thing or what, But he started, obviously, and he pitched fine. He pitched good. Offense got to do more, make less mistakes. By the way, today he got his 1,000th strikeout. I didn't mention that. So congrats to him on that. I'm reading from AJ Cassavell here. Joe Musgrove said his 1,000th strikeout was especially gratifying because he's been close for months, but was sidelined with an elbow injury. It makes you realize how effing crazy it is that Nolan Ryan's got 5,000 of them. I mean, yeah, he's right. It's different, obviously. Joe's pitching in a different game now. But yeah, 5,000. Because Joe's been starting for a while. What number season is this for Joe? He's got 9 years in the big leagues, 198 games. He's got over 1,000 innings, and he's getting, and this was entering today, and now he's got over 1,000 strikeouts. He was at 994 entering today. So Yeah, 5,000 strikeouts is nuts. Devin says, I'm not upset though. This team has been special since the All-Star break, and they have a comfortable spot in the standings. Move on to the next day and get back on track. Agreed. Let's see. If Peralta catches that ball that went foul, Joe doesn't give up that double. Yeah, that's true. I do remember that now. Yeah, that's true. But Peralta, I don't think he slid. Did you want him to dive or slide for it? Is that your problem with it? I mean, I don't remember if he was I don't think he was jogging to it. That's a long run. I mean, that's a big outfield in Colorado. So, trying to cover the ground and right, and then you've got a ball in foul territory that you got to run in on. I mean, Peralta's not Tatis with the speed. So, I'm not mad at that with Peralta. It was more the ball that was hit at him and he bobbled it. Let's see. Michelle says Profar hasn't done much lately. Is that true? I haven't I haven't looked that up yet. I he hasn't been like as loud with his production. I'll give you that, like with his game winning hits or huge hits. But let's do since the All Star break, okay? So since the All Star break, he still has a 856 OPS, 5 homers, 14 runs driven in. The average isn't over 300 since the All Star break, but so yeah, he's been a little bit quieter, but still, if we're gonna nitpick, I think you nitpick more on like the offense from Kim or guys that are not having an OPS of well over 800 since the All Star break. Well, yeah, you have a valid point of him not doing much if we're gonna compare it to what he was doing before then. Someone here says move Tatis back to short, put Solano, Peralta, or Wade in right field. That's not happening. I mean, let's remember the injury that Tatis is dealing with, the stress reaction. They probably don't want him running around and or just moving that much. And at shortstop, you're more involved. You're moving. Right field, sure, you have to run in from the dugout. You have to do those sprints on foul balls, sprints into the gap. I get it. But and also, I know Tatis still takes grounders in the infield during batting practice, right? But and I'm not saying he couldn't play shortstop. Of course, he can. He did it his whole life. But they're not going to mess with that. I wouldn't mess with that. That would be dumb. To put him at shortstop when he's coming back from an injury, I'm good. How about let's put the guy that played shortstop and was an all-star, let's put him there. I'm talking about Bogarts, multiple World Series titles at shortstop. Let's put him there, not put the guy that's coming off the IL. And we don't know, by the way, when he's coming off the IL. Let's not put him at shortstop. And Peralta, he is producing fine in right field. So you could have him have some DH time, have Crony at second base, Tatis in right field, or have Tatis DH if you want that, and have Peralta being right. And then you have, yeah, so Bogarts at short, Crony at second, Solano or Arraez at first. Remember, Arraez, he's dealing with an injury still. So just something to think about. We'll see. It's crazy. We got Dodger fans in here when the Padres were playing the Rockies. Interesting. Um, Ben, we do not blame the offense for Friday's game. Waldron is not good. He has been bad every month but June. Look at the numbers. Okay, no, that's totally fair to blame Matt Waldron for, you know, that game. Yeah, giving up 7 earned runs. You're not putting your offense in a good spot. But come on. The offense went 0 for with runners in scoring position. They left 10 guys on base. They deserve some blame as well. That's not only on Matt Waldron. It was a team loss for sure. Yeah, these last 2 outings haven't been good, but 5 2/3, 1 earned run against Colorado on August 4th. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Parker. July through August, most of his outings have been giving up 3 earned runs or more. 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 5 runs, 5 2/3, 1 run, 4 1/3, 5 runs, 5 2/3, 7 runs. He's given up homers. He's given up 1 home run in all of his starts but 1 since the start of July. So, yeah, I mean, but were we expecting Matt Waldron to pitch as well as he did before that point in time? We got to remember Matt Waldron, what is he? Is he really a 3 starter or is he a 5 starter? Or a 6 starter? Like, what really is he? So, I think we do got to understand that as well. Um, if the playoffs started today, yeah, I don't think he's starting a playoff game. It would be Musgrove, it would be Cease, it would be King. Maybe you'd go Martin Perez over Waldron right now. But I'm just thinking of like wild card series, 3 games. It's those 3 guys. Waldron isn't one of those. KJ says he's not built up. What do you mean? I'm talking about pitch count. No, I know Joe's built. Duh. I know he works out. He works hard, but no, I'm talking about he's not built up pitch wise. He's at less than 80 pitches right now. I wouldn't go that far. We don't know that Kim is out for the season yet. We do not know that. Yeah, good to see the Diamondbacks got swept. That is great to see. So, as I end this, let's look at the standings update here. So, in the division, NL West, the Padres, they're 3 games back of the Dodgers. Dodgers 73 and 52, Padres 70 and 55. D-backs, they're a game back from the Padres. And in the wild card, the Padres have the first wild card spot. The D-backs have the second. Again, a game back from the Padres. Padres are 3.5 clear of a playoff spot. Braves have that third spot. And then it's the Mets, 2 games back. The Giants, 4 games back. Cardinals are 5. And I don't count anyone else after that. I probably shouldn't even count the Cardinals at 5 back, but I'll be nice. So if the playoffs ended today, or excuse me, if the regular season ended today, it would be Dodgers, Braves, right? No. It would be, no, because the first 2 teams get the bye. It would be Brewers, Braves. Brewers host the Braves, and it would be the Padres hosting the D-backs in the wild card series. But it's August 18th. We still got lots of time left. Some may say it's not a lot of time, but it's still a lot of time. You know, they still got around 40 games left. Gerard says, "Hey Ben, I've been watching your videos for a couple months. I've loved all your videos and streams. Keep up the good work. Fingers crossed for the Padres to make the playoffs." Yep, fingers crossed for sure. Thank you for that kind comment. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you for tuning in here, episode 626, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Yep, Padres, they lost 2 out of 3, but they're still in a good spot. 11-4 in their 15-game stretch here against bad teams that they needed to capitalize on. Now they've welcomed in the Twins, and then they've got the Mets to end the homestand. It's going to be a pretty packed homestand, I would think. I mean, they don't need giveaways, but there's some pretty good giveaways as well. So maybe see you out at the ballpark this week. But until next time, see ya.